here's one of the great voices in America, Dr. Martin Luther King. It's rare, Doctor, that we get a chance to see you in New York. Are we covered? Oh, yes, there's a microphone over there. Do you visit here often?
Oh, I'm in New York almost every other week at least. There's
Quietly,
always
though.
something happening in New York, so you can't avoid coming to New York.
You've discovered it's a fun city?
Well, I haven't quite discovered that side of New York.
Right.
Being a Baptist clergyman, they keep me involved in other areas.
Right. Right. Your home is actually in Atlanta.
That's
Atlanta,
right.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Have you lived there all your life?
I was born in Atlanta and went to school in Atlanta through college, and then I went to theological seminary and graduate school in the North, in Pennsylvania and in Massachusetts, and then I went back to the South for my first pastorate in Montgomery, Alabama, where I lived for 6 years. And then I returned to Atlanta in 1960, and I've been there ever since.
Do you have a church at this time in Atlanta?
Yes, I am the co-pastor of the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, and my father is pastor, so we are working together there as a team.
Both you and your father?
That's right. They put up
Is there
with
any
two
seniority?
kings. Well, he makes it clear, sometimes consciously and sometimes unconsciously, that he is the pastor,
Right.
and I'm the co-pastor.
Mrs. King, of course, lives in Atlanta.
Oh, yes.
And there are-
She's from Alabama originally, but
And children?
we're back. Yes, we have 4 children.
What would their ages be, Doctor?
11, 9, 6, and 4. We have 2 girls and 2 boys.
Are they in school in Atlanta?
Yes, they're all in school in Atlanta. Even the youngest is in nursery school, but the others are all in the public school system of Atlanta, the other 3.
How is Atlanta doing? And the whole state
Atlanta
of Georgia?
is doing pretty well. I would say that Atlanta is probably the most progressive city in race relations in the South. Now, that doesn't mean that we have all problems solved in Atlanta. It suffers from the same problems that all of our major cities are facing today. We have serious economic problems in the Negro community, and although the middle class in the Negro community faces a degree of prosperity, the masses of Negroes confront the same poverty and deprivation that we would find in any city. But at least there is a responsive city government in Atlanta, and the Negroes in the fortunate position of really having the balance of power politically in Atlanta, and this makes a great difference. We have, for instance, in the state legislature of Georgia, 10 Negroes, and I think 9 are from the Atlanta area, and this is because of the political power of the Negro and the power of the Negro vote in Atlanta.
Often, Dr. King, when there has been violence in a certain city, for some reason that I'm not sure of, you have been blamed. Am I right? In Chicago,
Yes.
some of the blame was put on you, and still you have never advocated violence. I know now you are absolutely against it. Why do they blame you?
Well, I think it is because of our wrong analysis of events and of history and of circumstances. It so happens that many demonstrations that I lead end up in violence in the sense that we who are demonstrating are inflicted with violence. And I always say that you can't blame nonviolent demonstrators who are demonstrating for their constitutional rights when violence erupts. This would be like blaming the robbed man for the evil act of robbery because his possession of wealth or money precipitates the act. Society must always condemn the robber and protect the robbed. Another analogy would be, and I saw this very clearly in Chicago last summer when we were demonstrating around the whole issue of open housing, and as we marched into certain areas that were lily white areas and that denied Negroes the right to live in those areas, we were confronted with massive violence. Bottles and bricks were thrown at us. We were often beaten, and yet they caused us, or rather they called us, the originators of the violence. And I always said that this is like looking at a physician who, through his skills, through his medical ingenuity, discovers cancer in a patient and blaming the doctor for causing the cancer. It's usually the other way around. We praise the physician for using his ingenuity to bring out into the open something that needed to be discovered and something that can be cured if it is caught early enough. And this is exactly what we have done. We can't be blamed for the violence that emerges. We merely brought it out in the open. We brought the evil conditions, the cancerous disease of racism out in the open, and far from being the cause of it, we are merely the catalytic agents bringing it out for everybody to see so that the society can cure it.
Well said.